Good evening, guys. It is Monday, January 27th, 2025. This bathrobe business. I'm Georgie Oganov. I do not have my bathrobe on tonight. It's been kind of a crazy week. I think my last video was last Wednesday. So I didn't have one on Thursday or Friday, and I probably won't be having them on Fridays anyway, moving forward. Like I said, I'm kind of changing the format from a morning show to an evening podcast. So Fridays, I'm usually out. So I have a life. But on Thursday, I didn't do a post mainly because I was at the Utah Dental Convention on Thursday and Friday. One of our businesses is a dental laboratory. So we were there on both Thursday and Friday promoting the lab. It was a good time. Got a couple good leads, showcased our laboratory, our features. Good times were had by all. Now, let's jump into the news. So today, the story is dominated entirely by China and a new company called Deepseek, which is just funny to say. It sounds dirty. So I'll get to that in a minute. And it's going to be the main story of the day because it's dominating everything that anyone is talking about. I do think it's a major milestone. I think it's being overhyped as Wall Street and the media usually do, but we'll jump into it in just a second. Just a couple points I want to talk about before we jump into it. Let's talk real quick about gold, my favorite subject. Let me make sure this is casting correctly. So gold is slightly elevated, holding steady. Why this is important is the Fed is going to be meeting this Wednesday to decide interest rates. This is going to be like the first real meeting in the Trump administration. Well, this is officially the first real meeting in the Trump administration. So this is where the tug of war is going to begin. Now, if you'll remember back to the first Trump administration, Trump was not opposed to using the bully pulpit against Jerome Powell. This was something he would talk about often, that we need lower interest rates. We need lower interest rates. He's in business. It makes sense. If you watch this channel, you know I talk about how I do not believe interest rates should be lower. Quite the opposite. They should be higher for a healthy economy. Low interest rates benefit Wall Street, not Main Street. Having said that, Jerome Powell has echoed, and according to his dot plot, that there will not probably be any more cuts this coming year, or most, I believe, one more cut, if my memory is serving me correctly. However, the Trump administration is putting heavy pressure in order to have more cuts to improve the business marketplace. So this next meeting is going to be very crucial because it's going to determine which direction the Fed is going to go. Are they going to hold true, or are they going to show signs of weakness? I would love for them to hold to their guns and not cut, but I do not think Jerome Powell has a backbone. I have not been a fan of Jerome Powell from day one. I think he is very, very manipulated by public sentiment. I think during the Biden administration, he yielded to political pressure. And I think during the Trump administration, he will likely do the same. Now, I guess the only argument is if he's not looking for his seat to be renewed in 2026, he may not yield to it, not worrying about another term. But either way, I still don't think Jerome Powell has a backbone. So I think one way or another, we're going to get forecasts of a cut. And if that happens, I think gold is going to go up. That's not a certainty, but if I had to put money on it, of if Jerome Powell will stick to what he says, or if he's going to get pressure from the Trump administration and show signs of weakness, I would put more money on showing signs of weakness than holding true to his guns. All right, let's jump into the headline story of the day. So Deepseek. What is Deepseek? What is this all about? Why is the market going crazy? NVIDIA has shed almost $600 billion in just one day alone. It's the biggest one-day loss in history. However, it didn't just affect NVIDIA. It also hit Dell, Oracle, Supermicron. I believe Microsoft is hurting. Meta is hurting. What else? Who am I forgetting? OpenAI, of course, is hurting, but they're not publicly traded. So it has sent ripples throughout this whole AI ecosystem. So Deepseek is essentially China's version of ChatGPT. And a lot of people are terrified because it is surprisingly impressive. Supposedly, according to the chatter, it was built for only $6 million. It is fully open source, which I don't know actually how you have an open source AI system. Like, just technologically speaking, I can't wrap my brain around that. But whatever, that's a problem for a better mind. But It was built for only $6 million. It is completely open source. It can be run on local hosts, and much like Llama can, ChatGPT cannot. So in other words, you can download it onto your computer and run it from there. You can probably build your own AI agents located directly on your PC as well. And the most impressive part, and why everybody is freaking out, specifically NVIDIA, I should say, is freaking out, is because it was built with not the highest end NVIDIA chips, or graphics cards, AI chips, etc. So this thing was essentially built out of bubble gum and duct tape, and it works just as well as ChatGPT. This kind of upends the entire model as it's been sold to us. And this isn't really surprising. I think a lot of people kind of saw that there was a lot of smoke and mirrors going on in the AI field. We've talked about this channel on this channel. I've talked ad nauseum about how I think it's overrated, how I think some of the policies of the Biden administration and potential Trump administration were going to lead to this anyway, and how AI was being overhyped as needing more power constantly, more chips, more production, that was just fueling the cycles of these buying cycles and more investment from Wall Street without actually needing all that money. So, I mean, I don't know what the current deposits have been towards OpenAI or towards the entire AI ecosystem, but we're in the billions of dollars, right? Just last week, we reported on the fact that the Trump administration is creating this coalition of $500 billion with SoftBank, with Larry Ellison, with OpenAI, with all these conglomerates. They're donating hundreds of billions of dollars to do what essentially Deepseek did on a shoestring budget, which honestly makes a lot of sense. So not that I'm any expert with AI, but a lot of this was built off of research that Google developed back in 2017. So I'd like to share this article with you because I don't think I've shared this on this channel before, but it's something I already knew. So this was back in 2017. The transformer model of AI is one that replaced the recurrent neural network. Now, you don't need to know what all that is. I can't tell you that I know what all that is. But essentially what happened is in 2017, a paper was published by one of the computer scientists at Google. They decided to use predictive analytics for speech, more so than trying to build complex neural networks that mimicked human thinking. And this was a revolution. So, and this isn't a surprise, right? We call them large language models for a reason, is because they use language in order to predict what the next sequence of tasks is going to be. Literally, I just read that, and that is what it is. So all this information was already well known. All it needed was a little bit of data, a little bit of structure, and a little bit of processing power. What Deepseek has proven is that you don't need as much data as you think you do. You don't need as chips as complex as you think you need, and you don't need as much money as you think you need. And so now the entire ecosystem is being shifted massively. I think this is going to be a major headwind towards any new AI that starts showing its head in the next 6 months. I think anytime one of these companies is going to be asking for more money, or it's going to be fueling higher valuations and higher sale prices, specifically like next time NVIDIA is saying that it's going to have an amazing next quarter, this is going to smack it right in the face, because it will say, well, why should we give more money to NVIDIA? Why do we need to purchase more complex chips from NVIDIA if we could do it for less? So what I would call today's events is nothing more than a market stabilizing force. So I don't think this is the revolution that everyone is claiming it is, because everybody is making it sound like Deepseek is the next step in AI, as if it's done something revolutionary, when really all it's done is just kind of caused a market correction. AI was a very bloated market, from NVIDIA to OpenAI to Microsoft. All of these companies were raking in massive amounts of money because of the hype. But the hype is dead. The bubble has finally burst. And so we're going to see massive market correction. I don't think we've seen the last of it. I think we're going to be another 2 quarters, depending, I guess we're only in the first quarter right now, but probably by the end of second quarter is when the market correction is really going to end. So I wouldn't purchase into any of these companies just yet, because I think a lot of it is still yet to come. Now, let's get to that was the bullish side. That was the more aggressive side as to what happened. Now let's take a more analytical approach. Let's look at OpenAI and at DeepSeek side by side. So I have 2 windows open here. This one is traditional ChatGPT. This one is, I'll show in a second, is DeepSeek. And so all I did was ask it a series of questions. So I started with, can you build me an AI agent who can scrub LinkedIn and message people based on my preferences? Now, why I did that is because I'm currently looking at an AI company that to do just primarily that. Both of them gave me virtually an identical answer. I can't say it differed too much. So here's OpenAI's. It first talked about their legalities, ethics, talked about APIs, talked about messaging, workflows, etc. Here is Deepseek's. It created essentially the same thing. Now, one more thing that Deepseek did that OpenAI didn't was create Python script for me. Now, that's not that I don't think OpenAI couldn't do that. I just think that the way the prompt was phrased, or the way obviously I have more history with OpenAI than I do with DeepSeek, it didn't feel it valuable to give me that information. But this isn't anything that OpenAI can't do. So ideally, these two things are doing the same function side by side. Now, everybody was talking about how much faster DeepSeek was. It actually took OpenAI probably 10 seconds faster to produce these answers than DeepSeek. I continue to ask it a series of other questions. What can you do that ChatGPT can't? That's probably a very tentative question to today's news, because we really need to know how they differ. And overall, it didn't say much. It says it has a better understanding of Chinese market expertise. Its data is more localized. It integration with DeepSeek. So yeah, I'm not even going to read that. Real-time data, it's not as fresh as actually ChatGPT. So if you'll remember, when we first started using ChatGPT, its data was cut off from the greater internet at the time, unless you were using ChatGPT 3.5 or ChatGPT 4, whatever the current version was. You couldn't really get real-time data. Same thing with DeepSeek right now. Its real-time data is not great. So for example, I asked both ChatGPT and DeepSeek, give me the biggest news stories of the day. OpenAI gave me those, and a lot of it was about DeepSeek, so it gave me up-to-date information here. DeepSeek did not. So DeepSeek over here cut off at, I'm sharing that window. DeepSeek over here said that most of its database is cut off at October 23rd. Let me find that. I can't find the date, but it essentially said that most of its information is cut off at October 2023. So its database is limited. It's not yet opened up to the greater internet. So that's kind of the subtext here, is that as impressive as DeepSeek is for everything it has done, it is not the behemoth that Wall Street is claiming it to be. It's a very impressive program. I think it's fantastic that we have competition. I think it's fantastic that these AIs are having actual market corrections, because there wasn't anything that was even close to bringing these down and to kind of make the market a little bit more stable. I think this does just that. But this isn't as big of a hype as you may think. I recommend you download it. I recommend you play with it. I think it's a very fantastic and versatile program, but I don't think this is the David that's going to slay Goliath quite yet. But it's definitely a step in the right direction. That's pretty much it. Like I said, I was just going to focus on that story for today. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow, and I hope you have a productive Tuesday.